want to talk about something I have been calling stress addiction. I want to start by saying that this video is going to be very raw, uncut. I'm just literally going to be putting these clips through this editing tool I have that takes out all the pauses that I do, and I'm going to be posting it from that. So if there's parts that I mess up or repeat myself, I'm sorry, but because of the topic of this video, which is stress addiction, I am refusing to allow myself to get stressed over my current posting schedule and my timeline for this week, and I'm just gonna talk about what's been going on with me and share it. And I hope it's helpful for some of you. I know a lot of you that I've talked with, either in the comments or over email or whatever, have gone through similar life scenarios as me, or similar in some ways, where you understand, or I feel like you'll understand what I'm talking about. So that's why I wanted to share this. Stress addiction, I don't even know what the actual definition of that would be, and this isn't supposed to be an informative video, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I have found over the past month, 2 months, that I have been causing myself a lot of stress from the situations that I'm putting myself in. And I have found over the years, thinking all the way back to high school and earlier, that growing up in a situation that I grew up in and dealing with the things I dealt with, I have gotten very used to that feeling of stress and feeling like I need to go all the time. And I have a lot to say about the whole, what's it called? I can't even think of the words right now, and I don't even want to get into it, but like anti-hustle culture. I have my own thoughts and feelings about that, which I do want to talk about in a different video, but I just want to add that in to say that what I'm talking about, has nothing to do with hustle culture. I'm not referencing the societal feeling to work really hard. That's not what I'm talking about at all. This concept that I'm talking about is a emotional response, or physiological response even, to stress and our body's need for it when it gets used to it, aka an addiction. This is like going nowhere. Oh my gosh. It's going somewhere, but I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm very stressed right now. Back when I was younger, I was always told that I did so much. Paige, how do you do it all? How are you, going to school and working and helping raise your nephews and still getting straight A's, blah, 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 blah. I was told that a lot. And at the time, I was young, of course, 16, 17. I remember just being like, oh, I just do it. Like, it just felt natural. Like, I just do it. It has to be done, so I do it. I didn't sleep very well, but I still managed. I drank a lot of coffee, and I just got it done because there was no other option. And what I found whenever I finished high school, went through college, got my first job, was that I almost craved that feeling of stress and that feeling of impending doom that comes with any type of deadline. I've always said, oh, I just work well under pressure. I enjoy working under pressure. I get things done better that way. And I use that as kind of like a crutch and an excuse for procrastinating all the time and waiting to do things till the last second. Where am I going with this? But I found that with that, and with that procrastination comes a lot of stress. And that stress is something that my body works well under. It doesn't work well under it, but my body almost wants that stress. So I put myself in these situations where I procrastinate or I take on way more than I can handle because I literally feel like something is wrong if I don't have it. And it's not that I consciously think this, and it took me a long time to come to this realization. It's that I subconsciously have this need for stress. I always like to say too that, I don't like drama, but I like drama. You know what I mean? I hate when there's drama in my life, but I almost get this, I don't like the word high, but this high off of the drama, if that makes sense. And I've realized now that it's really because my body is used to that feeling. And almost feels like things are going like too well if I'm not feeling high stress and super high strung. And this isn't a solution-oriented video. I'm not here to tell you yet. Hopefully in the future I can. What I've done to work on this, it's just to share and to tell you that there's a chance that if you're in your 9-to-5 job and you feel very stressed or unhappy in the job, that you may start to seek out that stress somewhere else, even if you leave. And that is what I've found. I was doing really well with managing my workload and feeling like I wasn't overworking myself. But one thing that I'm, again, told a lot is, wow, I don't know how you went through this past year, leaving your job with all the uncertainty and, everything you did, and having, after sharing my finances, having months where we made no money, or months where we lost $3,000, or months where we were literally in the hole, negative. Again, besides my investment account, of course, I know that was there in a safety net, and that's part of the reason why I felt okay financially. But the reality is I felt okay with that because I'm used to that, and that's almost how I grew up. Although my mom very much kept the financial situation out of the forefront of my mind, I always knew growing up that we struggled financially. My mom was raising 3 kids by herself, and although she got child support, it wasn't enough. And I always knew we struggled financially. I knew that. And I almost, growing up, and if you're someone, again, who came from like a rough background, I almost like took pride in that. And I was still very privileged, don't get me wrong, and had a lot of things that were okay in our life. And my mom did her best with what she could. And, we were still very lucky. We didn't not have food. But I feel like I've always took pride in this concept that I, had a hard upbringing or dealt with struggles in my life. But the reality is everyone has struggles in their life, and maybe they're different for different people, but we all have struggles. And that is something that I have really come to terms with and have been working on a lot, which is my past and the way I was brought up doesn't need to define me. It can, of course, impact how I am and who I am today, but it doesn't need to define me. And letting it define me is not something I want to do. And I have seen that this stress addiction concept has been something that has come out of what I went through growing up and has caused me to have an extremely low immune system where I get sick all the time. And that's happening again. It happened a ton in high school, and it's happening again where I'm just constantly sick. And I have had headaches for weeks now. And I'm starting to realize that sometimes I get so stressed that I emotionally or mentally, I feel like I'm okay and I'm gonna make it through. But physically, my body is telling me that it needs to end. Like, you have to stop. You can't keep doing this to yourself. Oh my gosh, my neighbors are going crazy. And that is what I've realized lately is going on with me. And my body is starting to tell me again, just like it did when I was in my 9-to-5 job, just like it did when I was in high school, that this can't continue. And I find myself slipping back into my bad habits that I was in before, and I'm refusing to let that happen. So I guess at the end of the day, the purpose of this video is to say that I'm not allowing myself to get to that place again, and I'm not gonna get burnt out to that level again. I'm not doing it, and it needs to stop. And I'm saying this to myself. This needs to stop, and I have to make a change, because I have the ability to make a change, and I can't keep living in this cycle of stress all the time to feel something in life or whatever the reasoning is for it. I definitely want to do more research on this because, again, I'm obviously just going off of my own experience, and I feel like I haven't even got to the crux of any of this. But again, this isn't the purpose of this video, or that isn't the purpose of this video. It's just for me to share. I have, oh my goodness, sorry. Don't even need to get into it. I am going on a trip to get away for a few days and decompress. I'm taking a self-care day this week to decompress and just have a day to myself where I can't stress and creating an environment where I cannot. I have thought about, and I'm still toying with the idea of getting a work phone so I can separate my work from my personal life, because although I have freedom and flexibility, again, I find myself putting myself in the position where I feel very stressed and allowing it to happen. I don't want to check my phone in the morning anymore and respond to clients anytime during the day that they text me or call me or email me. I can't do that. And although I use a ton of language in my head and verbally to other people to make myself feel okay about all these things by saying, again, like I'm a workaholic, or I just function well under pressure, or blah, 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 the reality is I'm pushing away how I'm feeling about things mentally and emotionally and ignoring it and allowing my body to get to the point where it has to physically tell me that this is not okay. And I don't want that anymore. So anyways, that's my rant. I guess this is also to just explain why I have been so back and forth with YouTube, when YouTube is literally, at the end of the day, the one thing I love more than anything and the thing I enjoy. And as I started to get overworked and pushed myself too far into my freelance work and my clients, and although yes, I've seen a ton of success with that and I don't regret it at all, I know now that something has to change because I've dropped the ball on the things I actually care about, which is YouTube and spending time with my husband and seeing my family and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just the things I care about. And I've been super absent at times because I've gotten super sick, or I've gotten too stressed and I'm working too much to actually make content. And I have signed an agreement with a brand that I'm sure you all know I work with, and I love the brand, but I'm struggling to get to a place where I can make enough content to offset my sponsored content, which is definitely not something I want. And I don't know if it's just a sign that I was not ready to take on sponsored content, or I didn't have the system set up to be able to make enough content for that. I don't really know. But what I do know is that I have the ability to change this and I can do something about it, and I don't have to sit here and allow myself to continue to feel this stress and tell myself it's okay when it's not okay. And Oliver said to me last night, he came home from work and I was so stressed because I'm just trying to get everything done before my few days off so I can actually enjoy it. And he said to me, like, why are you in this position? I thought you left your job so that you had the flexibility and the freedom to not be in this position again and not feel like this again. And I'm saying way more words than he says because he's a man of few words, which I very much appreciate. But I've realized that he's right. Like, I'm in a position where I can make that change, and choosing not to do that is still me choosing stress. And I'm not going to keep choosing stress because it's not good for me. It's not good for my health, and it's not good for my family, my friends, anyone. It's not good for anyone. It's just not. And stress is not always a choice, and I'm very well aware of that. But when it finally is a choice, and you have the ability to change it, just because you were in stressful situations growing up or previously in your past does not mean that you have to stay in them again, even if you have the choice to get out of it. And I think that is where a lot of my issue stems from. Not only do I, physically have this need for that adrenaline all the time from stress. I mean, really, it's an adrenaline addiction. And again, I have not explained any of my thoughts or research at all on stress addiction or adrenaline addiction or whatever you want to call it. And I'm not really going to do that in this video. That wasn't the purpose anyways, but part of it is that, and it's the physical side, but also I think part of it is a pride thing. Like, I can do hard things. I've done it before. I can do it again. And although that might be true, and I believe for so many of you, I'm sure that's true, and I believe for myself that it's true as well, that I could do hard things, you don't have to do hard things. And when you do have a choice to get out of that situation, it's going to affect you way more physically and mentally than it would if you didn't have a choice. Because when you don't have a choice, our bodies and our brains are capable of pushing through really hard things when we have to, or for the sake of our family or our friends or our health or whatever that might be. But when you have the choice to change something, and you don't, you subconsciously know that you have that choice and that you could get out of that situation. And that makes it so much harder to be okay physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's what I'm finding lately, is that although I am catching up financially from this past year that was crazy, and we, you know, had so many months where we made no money or like went in the hole or whatever, although I'm finally out of that spot and I feel okay financially, that doesn't mean that I'm okay mentally, physically, emotionally. And I think there's this really interesting balance, and I'm going to end with this concept, but a lot of people say that, oh, once you make enough money, you won't have that mental stress of not having money and not being okay financially, which obviously I agree with. I'm not saying that's not wrong, but I think that there's this balancing point as well with how much you push yourself to get out of that situation, that you might cause yourself more stress than you were in when you were kind of struggling financially. Obviously, I know that my situation was not sustainable, where there was months where we were negative $3,000. Like, I'm very well aware of that. But there was months where we were positive a few $100 or $500 or just zero. We made exactly what we spent. And we could have cut down our expenses even and made a little bit less and still been okay. And those months, I was not severely stressed. But these months where I'm working a ton, I am. And again, part of that is also that I'm doing time for money right now for half of my clients, and the other half are not trading time for money and they're package clients, and I need to focus more on getting to the package clients, because trading time for money is stressful and it's easy to overwork yourself if you're someone who deals with stress addiction or just overworking yourself in general, like I do. So anyways, that's my rant. I don't know if any of you even relate to this at all. I hope so. And thanks for listening, I guess. And sorry, I've been up and down with my channel, and I really want to prioritize it. And I have a video coming out later this week that is sponsored, and thank you for supporting always with that. But it's going to be kind of a little few days in my life over the weekend where I was trying to reset and decompress from all the stress I've been feeling, and purposely trying to take time to rest and recover. And then also a Monday back to work where I was really stressed, even after the weekend of decompressing and relaxing, which my learning lesson from that is you can't just cause yourself stress and then rest and relax and then things will be okay. You sometimes have to make a true change, which I know I need to do. I just don't know exactly what that change looks like yet and how to go about it, but it needs to happen. So stay tuned, and I'll keep you all posted, and I'll share more as I learn this process. But yeah, that's all I have for today's video, and thanks again for watching and supporting, and I will see you later this week with another one. Bye.